Hello, so in this video I'm going to look at this problem where if you're given cosecant of an angle theta is negative 3.2174506 and theta is in quadrant 3, find cotangent of theta. Turn the light on, make it a little brighter. Alright, so in this problem, visually what's happening is you have some kind of angle that's in quadrant 3, so you've like rotated like this, right? Somewhere in quadrant 3. And then here's the terminal side of the angle. You drop perpendicular to the x-axis. Here's your right angle. Right? And your angle theta is right there. Okay. Now, what that means is x is here, y is here, r is here. And we're going to have to find cotangent theta, which is, by definition, go ahead and pause the video. What's the ratio in terms of x, y, and r? Well, it's x over y, right? So what we know is, because we have an angle in quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. Okay. Now, what they do tell me is, the only thing else they tell me here is this cosecant of theta, but that's really a lot of information. So what I want to do is I want to work with the definition of cosecant, right? So if cosecant of theta is negative 3.2174506, what is the definition of cosecant in terms of x, y, and r? So hopefully you will say r over y. And that's equal to negative 3.2174506. But remember, that's the length of the radius, that's this length right here, to the length of the y-axis right here. So we have one length here, we need another one. So I'm going to say over 1, right? I can always say that a number is the number over 1. So if I say I'm going to make up a number 20, it's really 20 over 1, right? So now I have to, what I want to do now is say that r is the numerator, y is the denominator, and where does the negative sign go? Well, we know that the radius is always positive, right? So we always know that r is always positive. Since it's positive, this negative goes with the y. So what I know is r is positive 3.2174506, and y is negative 1. Okay? Now we need to find the length of x, and we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem because we have a right triangle. So I'm going to use x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, right? Your hypotenuse is always across from the right angle, so that's the radius. And now I'm going to go ahead and solve for x before plugging everything in. So I'm going to have x squared is equal to r squared minus y squared, right? I'll subtract y squared from both sides. I'm going to take a square root from both sides of both sides. Like that. When I take the square root of something squared, I get that thing in absolute value. And to remove the absolute value, if you recall, I do plus or minus on the other side. Because I didn't know if whatever was being squared was positive or negative. Now what that means is x can be positive or negative, but we do know that because theta is an angle in quadrant 3, that I have to have x being a negative coordinate. So I actually can say that I know x is negative square root of r squared minus y squared. Okay. Now let's plug everything in. So here x is equal to negative square root, and r was 3.2174506 squared, minus, and then y was negative 1 squared. So let's just bring that back. There's your r and there's your y. And let me just mention here that once I square this, a negative 1 times a negative 1 is positive 1. So this whole thing will become a positive 1. So I'll end up subtracting a positive 1. I'll just subtract 1. So let's go ahead and put it in our calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press second, and then I'm going to do x squared so that I access the square root. And I'm going to put negative, right? Oops, not that, sorry. Should have put the negative on the outside here. Negative second square root, sorry. and then put in the 3.2174506, right? And then I'm going to square that, and then minus 1, right? And so I use the x squared button to square that really long number. And so what I'll have is negative, this right here, negative 3.050. Now, of course, you can do this without putting the negative sign in the front. Oop, my cat's helping us. You could just do the square root and then put the negative on the outside. Let me go ahead and write that down. All right. X is negative 3.0581102.02085. Okay? So that's X. And I'm not sure why my cat is so interested right now. Come on, buddy. Get a little buddy. Yeah. Oh. All right, so there's X, but we're not done. We're almost done. Remember, we were trying to find cotangent of an angle, and the cotangent was X over Y. We found X, and we know Y is negative 1. So what we now need to do is just say cotangent of theta is X over Y, which is negative 3.0581102.085 divided by the negative 1. So finally, cotangent of theta is just a negative divided by negative is positive. 3.0581102.085. And that's your final answer. All right. Thanks so much for listening.